Eva Obregon is a mother of 4 beautiful daughters and the grandmother of 2. She has a passion for educating and empowering women of all ages. In her previous career, she had the opportunity to touch women's lives on a day-to-day basis in the women's health industry for 20 years. And then her passion for helping women was born, and she became an advocate for women at that point. In 2010, she came to Arizona from Southern California and was offered an opportunity to become a financial advisor. She took on this new career and continued to fulfill her passion for empowering women. Now she is a part of an industry that provides financial awareness for women, an area that in the past has not been given much attention. 4 years later, her passion and mission continued to grow, and she had the chance to bring that awareness to women of all ages through financial education. Eva is also a leader of GPS Juniors for young women in GPS, and she inspires our young member to plan for the future and become empowered young women. So we're catching them while they're young. GPS focuses on women of all ages, from very, very young to us that's seasoned, and we can still learn. We can always still open ourselves up to learning. So Eva, we're happy to have you.
Well, thank you. I just wanted to start off with, first and foremost, I wanted to thank Debbie Davis, our GPS founder, for all your not only heart, but your hard work. The hard work that she puts into this organization to empower business women entrepreneurs. As a businesswoman herself, she knows the importance of personal growth in every aspect of running a successful business and has put in place an amazing education series for our members where it fosters awareness, knowledge, and accessibility to the professional with professional resources as we continue our journey to success right here within our own members. How great is that? Mm-hmm. I mean, so I would please give her an applaud because she worked so hard in doing so. So, moving on, who can name some of the financial challenges facing women right now?
Well, right
Top
now,
of your head. Retirement.
just daily life, back to schools right now, and it's a challenge for a lot of women trying to make sure they can provide for their kids.
Anybody else? College education. Loss of a spouse. Anything else?
Just making ends meet month to month.
Yes, it is.
Managing the challenges of being in business for yourself. Many of us are commission-based, and so we're trying to make sure that we focus on making sure that stretches out the whole month and then building on that.
How many of us have that challenge? The majority of us, yeah. Here are a couple of statistics that I really wanted you to be aware of. About 95% of women will be in their family's primary financial decision maker at some point in their lives. Why do you suppose?
Because women make a lot of decisions in the family, and finances is an important part of that.
We also widow, and at some point, I mean, who makes, like you said, right on, who makes those decisions of school clothes, the food in your refrigerator, right? So we do, that number right here, at some point or another, even though your spouse is right now may be the one handling all the finances, guess what? That number right here makes us aware that at some point or another, we're going to have to take responsibility. So the sooner that you are aware of the financial house that you both carry, the better you are. Here's a second statistic here. Women are in the workforce less than men. Why is that? Childbearing, raising children, family illnesses, caring for elderly parents, right? Therefore faced with less time to save, missing out on an employer contribution. Oh, I'm sorry, where'd I go here?
You hit the button.
Oh.
There
we
you
go.
go.
Those right there, that challenge is, we go on, we raise our children, we go back to work, and then we're faced with taking care of our parents. And we're heading right now into that baby boom stage where we're gonna see a whole lot more of that.
Yes.
The next one, women make less than men. That's another big challenge right there. Less money to save, less money to put away. We put our careers on hold, right? How many of us start up our careers, we start a family, guess what? We come second. So again, giving us less of an opportunity to save more money in retirement. We live longer. Women average expectancy is 81 years compared to 76 for men. Well, why do you suppose that is? I know it's because we take better care of our men, right? We take better care of our men, even though they live a little bit less, but we, for some reason, just being active and all of that keeps us a lot younger. And who knows, there might be a conspiracy there. Right? I don't know. With this right here, our risk is running out of money. We retire, yes, we live longer, but we need more money to live off of. So that is one of my biggest fear of my clients when they walk into my door is, I'm afraid to run out of money. And so that question always comes up. Well, at what age do you want to retire? I don't know. How much do I need, right? So we are definitely living longer, and we run the risk of running out of money. Widow goes back again. We live longer. We go back to the 95%. We start being the decision maker. How many of you have pensions? Social Security. Now we have loss of income. When you widow, there's big changes. Now you don't have 2 Social Security incomes coming in. There's only 1. Sometimes we don't prepare for that. And we don't think about, okay, well, he's gone. Well, guess what? The debt doesn't go away, but the income does. Not only on top of that, we're going into a generation where we don't see very much of the pensions, but they're there, so whatever's left is there. If you're not aware of what your survivor benefits are in your pension, you're in trouble. Many women have the perception that, well, it'll just continue. No, it all depends how you decide to take it out. Will you get a certain percentage? Will you even get any of it? Those are important conversations that you must have with your husband, your spouse, your significant other to make sure that you're on the right track. So now that we're aware of all of these challenges that we're going to be facing at some point or another in our lives, now what do we do? Now what? It's time to take action. So this morning I'm just going to really touch on 6 action items to take control of our financial well-being. Any idea where to start? Living within our means and maintaining good credit. Spending less than you earn. Making 5, living off of 2, enjoying 1, saving 2. That's a formula that we need to make sure that we kind of have embedded. The problem is, there's high debt. Why? Because people make 5 and they spend 8. They use the 5 and then they charge the other 3. Well, you'll never, ever be able to catch up and be prepared that way. So, and I can tell you just based on my experience, those clients that have a nice nest egg aren't those that have elaborate job, high income, my high income earners. They're the very conservative workers, those that go to work every single day, but they know the importance of making $5, saving 2. And living off of 2 and putting the other 3 to work. So we want to save more. Don't use money to make yourself feel good. I don't know if I agree about that.
Retail therapy.
Right, retail therapy. There is, but it doesn't necessarily mean you have to go buy an elaborate car, right? A new car is a new car. It makes you still feel good. You just don't have to have an $80,000 car. Pay bills on time. Check your credit report. This is right here. This is a really good resource, something that I really promote and ask that you follow your credit report. There's so much identity theft right now that if you're not on top of it, you can be in a whole lot of mess. Not only that, right here, the annualcreditreport.com, you get a free one every year. So there's 3 credit reporting agencies. What I do is I check it on a quarterly basis. I just rotate. I order from one, 4 months later, I order for the other one, and the other one, go to the next one. By then, I qualify for the free one all over again. So it gives you an opportunity to always, on a quarterly basis, stay on track for free. Control your credit cards. How many of us have those credit cards in our wallet and like to swipe them? Credit cards can be great if you're responsible and you know how to leverage them. You can earn points to get free stuff. Use your credit cards for large purposes to take advantage of those perks. But most importantly, don't charge anything you cannot pay back. There's these great pair of shoes. They're on sale for $50, originally $150. You've got to have them, but you don't have the money. You can't pay them off for 6 months. Guess what? Those $50 shoes that originally go for $150, now you're paying $200. That's not a deal. So just kind of keep, when you're ready to bring that credit card out, will you be able to pay it off at the end of the month? Number 2, preparing for the unexpected. The unexpected, we don't plan bad things to happen, right? We don't plan for bad things to happen. So what are a few incidents that can occur that we absolutely don't plan? Don't even really like to
Illness or
think about.
death in your family.
Yes.
Car repair, home repair.
Yeah.
Layoff.
Getting sick, so you have to go to the hospital. Long-term illness, work injury, house fire, monsoons out here. Oh, this monsoon season has really, freaked me out. Auto accident and death. These are 5 major areas of coverage. Medical. It's so important because if you don't have medical insurance, what happens? It can consume, it can knock out your retirement, it can knock out all of your savings. You can end up with a lien in your house, lawsuits and so forth. As many of you know, medical bills are astronomical. So you want to make sure that you have medical insurance. Not only that, now it's a requirement. So if you don't, you're looking at a penalty. Disability income. That's a category right here we really don't think about very much because we always think it's not going to happen to us. But this right here, this disability income is very, very reasonably priced. But we go back to the credit cards. Your credit cards carry a lot of benefits. Did you guys know that your credit cards, some of the credit cards for rental cars, they carry additional car rental insurance? So you don't have to buy it if you rent a car. You can use that. Cell phone. Some of them also have a feature where they will have cell phone coverage. Look at your benefits in your credit cards and utilize those. Disability income is one of them. Some of the credit cards have that feature. Take the time to look and review them to see how you can leverage them. If you don't have to buy additional insurance and you have a credit card already, sign up for it. Something happens to you, your credit cards are paid for. Your bills are paid for. That's one way of leveraging money, your resources without more money, additional money bringing additional money out of pocket, which then allows you to save more for retirement. Long-term care. This has come up more and more. It must be because I'm getting older too. That gets a little bit scarier. Is that long-term care? The numbers here. More than 65% of nursing home residents and 70% of residential care assisted living residents are women. I have visited nursing homes and they're all women. Sweet, adorable, but you're at risk to end up there. Almost 2/3 of Americans with Alzheimer's disease are women. More than 60% of informal or unpaid caregivers are women. Which women do you think those are? Daughters. Those daughters. Why do you suppose the numbers are so high?
Because we live longer.
We live longer. And we live longer. And also, I have to edit again, I just lost my train of thought. We've already taken care of our spouses. The spouses usually don't end up having to go to a nursing home because we're the ones caregiving for them. But it also kind of gives us something to look for. What I've seen too, I have a particular client who is just adamant about, he's completely against long-term care. He's significantly older than his wife. I'm so worried about her because he's so stubborn. And his thing is, he says, when I get sick, I have my wife to take care of me. I said, well, yeah, I understand that, but what if it gets to the point she can't physically take care of you anymore? Oh, he had a solution. I have kids. They're gonna take care of me. How old are your kids? Well, in their 40s. Do they have a family? Yes. How does that play out? Will they now have to quit their jobs to stay home and watch you? Is that fair for them? I get it. We're a loving family. We don't want our loves to go into a nursing home. But it gets to the point where we don't have that choice. It's the best thing for them. So we are looking more and more into the long-term care need. We're heading into the baby boomer stage, so we're going to see a high increase of that. This right here gave me an eye-opener. Are we adequately insured? We were talking about long-term disability. Look at the number. 47% chance that a 30-year-old will experience a long-term disability at least once before the age of 65. That's scary. 1 in 96 chances that you will experience a fire in your home. We all hope not, but that's what we have homeowners insurance for. 65-year-olds face a 43% lifetime chance of entering a nursing home. 43. So, are we in that 43? If we're not, somebody we love are. Number 3, putting your money to work by investing. We all know we've just talked about all these things that we need to protect, we need to put, focus on. So what do we need to do? We need to make our money work, right? We need to pay for these. So how do we do that? We save, but we have multiple vehicles and the ability to do that. And the magic word here is diversification. How many of you have heard that word? Diversification, right? And that's kind of a way that don't put all your eggs in one basket, right? Magic word, diversification. It's to mitigate your risk of diversifying your portfolio with different types of investments to meet multiple financial needs. We don't all just need to save for retirement. We also need to save for other aspects of our life. So that's why it's so important to make sure that we understand that. We need to sit down and say, okay, not only know that we need to diversify, but understand why it's important and the basics of why it is important, where you place your money. Here is this is kind of a snapshot. I'm very visual, so this gives a really good snapshot of what it kind of would look like depending on your risk tolerance, your financial situation. There's a breakdown. So as you can see, there's a formula based on that. So that's why it's so important to sit down with your professional to talk about and have these conversations to make sure that you are properly allocated based on your particular needs. We're all completely different, and so we want to make sure we go through that. Number 4, building a healthy nest egg for retirement. It's the first the first place. We are, while we're working, we're in the accumulation stage, right? So we're saving, because there's going to come a day where we can't work anymore, and now we're going to spend. But the first one right here is an employer-sponsored retirement plan. Can't tell you how many, I know firsthand, when I was in my 20s, had my first job, how many of you knew what that meant? You did? One of the very few. I didn't. I didn't know. All I knew was that they wanted more of my money. And I needed every dollar I earned, okay? So, but as we get older, and we've already missed 15, 20 years of that savings, and somebody says, did you know that you can earn free money? Just by participating in your employer-sponsored program, you match. You make the contribution, your employer matches. That's free money. That's 100% return. You're not going to get it anywhere else. You want to make sure that you take advantage of that opportunity. Men in savings. We just talked about that earlier. Why? Because we're in the workforce a lot less than men are. How do we want to live? Lifestyle. That's the key word there. How do you want to live your retirement? Do you plan to travel? As far as I'm concerned, there's 3 stages of retirement. There's that one where you first, you just retire and party on. You're doing everything that you couldn't do while you were working. So you're spending a whole lot of money. Whether
Doing it and loving it.
whether it's renovating your home, travel,
Happy hours.
happy hours.
I feel like I'm living in a resort here.
There you go.
It feels like.
There you go. Any other ideas of retirement?
Helping
What's your-
others,
Helping others?
that costs money.
It does, because you entertain. Happy brunch after?
Everything.
You all heard it, and it's on tape. Anything else? Well, that's the first stage, spending a whole lot of money. Then we go into the second stage. We're getting a little bit older, traveling. It's not that easy anymore. We're going to stay home a little bit more. You start becoming a homebody. You don't spend as much money. So then you think, okay, well, we're fine. But then you enter the third stage. Anybody want to guess what the third stage is?
Illness, nursing home, medical
Needing
bills,
help.
nursing home.
Very, very expensive.
Yep.
Averaging all of that out, look at the number. 70 to 80% of your pre-retirement income to live comfortably in retirement. What does that mean? Think about it. Think about that number. 80% of your current income, okay? What do you have accumulated by the time, during your working years? That amount that you have saved up has to generate 80% of your current income to live comfortably in retirement. So that kind of makes you want to step back and say, ooh, you do your math. Total of all the savings, everything that you have, all your assets, times 80%, am I there? Can I generate that? That's when you need to really sit down and make sure that you have someone take a look at your entire picture. The sooner that you're aware of where you stand, the more options you have. And that right there is a big concern, especially for us women. We live longer, running out of money. Here's a good picture slide that shows 20 years. 20-year retirement horizon. That's a whole lot. Like you said, that's 20 years of entertaining. Going out, brunches, coffee, it adds up. Shopping. Those shoes.
My favorite
Yeah.
hobby.
Chance of living to the age of 90. Isn't it interesting how 90, I remember when I was young, 90 seemed like it was totally ancient. Not anymore. I we know quite a bit of 90-year-olds. Here's the healthcare. Look at the cost. Look at that number right here. Oop. Look at that number right here. I can tell you, I'm pushing the wrong button here.
There you go.
There we go. There we go. Found the right button. This number right here, I can tell you, I have accounts that's all they've been able to save. Can you imagine something goes wrong, that gets wiped out? It's gone. I mean, in one illness, it can knock you out. Inflation and the loss of purchasing power. This kind of goes hand in hand with why we need to put our money to work. I get that I don't trust the market, it's too crazy, it's unpredictable. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right, it is. But you have to have a plan, because inflation and the loss of purchasing power, having your money under the mattress, is a lot riskier. The great thing about putting $100,000 under your mattress is that 20 years later, you go under there, hopefully if your kids haven't gotten to it, you still have $100,000 under the mattress. The bad thing is that 20 years later, you only have $100,000 under your mattress. And $100,000 is not going to buy the same. Now you'll need $150,000 to $200,000 to buy what you bought once at $100,000. It's important to know where now that you're in retirement, where's that money coming from? We talked about a little bit earlier about Social Security. We become very dependent on Social Security. Well, I'm going to get Social Security. Well, do we really know? We don't. Some of us that are a little bit younger, I know my children, tell them, the youth that we talk about junior GPS. How you live in retirement is solely going to be completely dependent on what you start doing today. So you see those people in the corners asking for money, begging, we're going to see a high number of that because people don't prepare themselves. There will no longer be Social Security. I am really working with the last of the generation that had pensions. Those don't exist anymore. So if you don't go out and purchase your own pension, those don't exist. Investable, tax-deferred investment and taxable investments. This is why it's important to work with a team, with a tax professional to make sure that, okay, my money's is working. But is it working properly where, if I make, 20%, I turn around and because it wasn't properly invested, and now here we are with Uncle Sam in taxes, our net is only 10%, right? Because we put it to work, but now we're putting it to work for Uncle Sam. So we need to go back to that diversification. Employment earnings. There's a lot of seniors out there having to work. Not because they want to, but because they have to work. Oh my goodness. Here we go. Financial hardship. How many of you guys gone through some of that? What can totally derail your plan? Because it happens. You're on your way, you've been working, you're accumulating, you've been putting money aside, you've met with everyone, it has it. Retirement plans, insurance plans, everything's in order. And then, boom, what are some of the things that can happen?
The economy with real estate.
Okay,
Devastating.
very devastating.
Loss of employment. You can't make, even if you had insurance, you can't make a premium on your insurances and stuff, so it's just collapse.
Parents getting ill, so now you have to take care of them, or just unexpected expenses around them.
Yeah. How about divorce? That's a monkey wrench there. That's divorce. Everything goes up in here, especially here in Arizona. It's a community state property. So if you make most of the earnings, it's 50%. If they do, yeah, you're ahead, right? But there's a lot of that going on. Health and life insurance, now you're divorced. Will we be able to continue carrying you over? Now you're gonna have to take out your own premium. The retirement benefits, how much of that do you get? Or how much of that of yours does he get? You just lost half of what you've been working for. And Social Security, goes back to, again, Social Security, you just lost that other additional income. Widowing. The numbers are clear. You know, if you go, anywhere you go, you start looking at these numbers, anywhere, you're gonna see a whole lot of women everywhere. Property transfers, taxes, health insurance, life insurance, same thing. If your spouse carries a health insurance that's part of their pension, when they decease, how does that affect you? Will you lose your benefits too? That's huge. It's huge because we all have, you know, are comfortable and we have those benefits and so forth, but even widowing, you can lose some of those benefits. Then you get to Social Security. Boy, that's a whole animal in itself, right? Do I take, you know, do I take the lump sum? What are my benefits as a survivor? And are you working? The very last one, addressing estate and legacy issues. I love this slide. Every woman has an estate, she may not have a plan. Why do you think that's very important? At any age. Women, we don't give ourselves enough credit. We say we don't have enough money. You know, you may not have enough money in your eyes, but when you're gone, you want to make sure that what you have worked hard for is executed exactly how you wanted it, whether it's to your children, your grandchildren. Not only it's executed, you're protecting them. Has anybody experienced probate? I have a client right now that yesterday they actually had a court hearing for a probate issue. Father's estate, 9 years running. 9 years. In the interim, they have lost a home because they've had to pay attorney fees and so forth, and they have the money. It's just tied up. So it really does affect. What actions can you take? Any kind of action. A step forward. Look at this, cost of procrastination. The difference between 10, 20, and 30 years. It's huge. It's huge. So we want to make sure that even if it's a small step, it's a step in the right direction. It takes time and it's not overnight. It is a process. But the sooner, again, that you're aware of where you stand, the more choices, the more options you have, the better informed you are. This number here, take a look here. The purple bar is the expected workers. The yellow, the actual retirees. If we look here, before 60, 9% of the workers, 35 actually retired. As we move forward here, this is where we're at. We're looking at all the baby boomers. Look at all the baby boomers having to work. And very few retiring. Why? No plan in place. That's what that means. No plan in place. Anybody have any questions? Anything specific that I didn't cover?
I have a question. What is the difference between taxable investments and tax-deferred investments?
Great question, Debbie. So a tax-deferred investment, a vehicle, will allow you to put money away and your growth grows tax-free until you start withdrawing it. So it's continuously generating income for you, but you're not taxed on that. When you retire, the whole idea is that when you plan, when you put your, like 401ks, your individual IRA account, your traditional IRA accounts, those are all tax deferred. Doesn't mean it's tax free, it's tax deferred, meaning you will at some point later will start paying taxes on it. Uncle Sam doesn't forgive you on that. The idea is when you're working and you're accumulating, your tax bracket is up here. But when you retire and you're only dependent on Social Security, your tax bracket's here. So you're going to pay a much less tax when you start withdrawing some of that money. So, and then the second one was your taxable
Taxable investments.
Taxable investments. Taxable investments are like anything that you have, like a brokerage account, that you buy stocks, individual stocks and so forth, and you put there. You generate an income the minute you take it out or you make those changes. That's taxable income. That is actually income that you'll be taxed on. That money is taxed during retirement. When you start that withdrawal stage in retirement, you're taking that money, and Uncle Sam, when you do your taxes, will tax you on it. So is it a good problem to have? Well, if you're getting taxed on your investments, you're making money, right? So yeah, a portion of it is. But it all goes back in putting the strategy together to make sure that you're paying the least taxes as possible. And it all goes back to a financial strategy that fits your particular need. That's a great question. Any other questions?
When would you recommend a prenup?
That's a very touchy subject. It's a great question.
I mean, I'm already married, too,
Yeah.
like me, but.
Interestingly,
Before you get married.
I was, you know, there's also postnups.
Oh, no, I didn't know that.
Yes, there is, and I'll tell you where I learned that. I was offered an opportunity to go with the state safety, and so I went to kind of interview it and stuff, and fire departments. It was going to be me going in and educating the fire department, firemen, okay? All shots, right?
Mhm.
That the rate of divorce in that field, in public safety, is astronomical. So they talked about prenup. First thing they come in when they come on board is get a prenup. Because firemen, believe it or not, ladies, they have amazing pensions. They are our millionaires in the making. So they don't make a whole lot up front, but they do have very, very nice pensions if they've gotten into the draw program that they have. So they all advise for the prenup. I really don't even know how to answer that. It's a great question, but it all really is a conversation that you would best have with an attorney, along with your spouse. But on that, going back to the estate protection, putting your trust and will in place. It is so important. And this is also a great step to go into that direction. When you start putting together a trust and you start breaking down things, it is so stressful because there are things that you've never thought of and you don't want to, and they're uncomfortable conversations, but they have to happen. That will give you a better idea whether you need a prenup or not. But with that said, how much do I have? How much time do I have?
Oh, you're
You're good, doing
I'm
good.
good?
Yeah.
Okay. With that, it's blended families. I have a blended family, a very blended family. When I sit down and we talk about estate planning, putting a plan together with a trust, the conversations come up. My money that I worked hard with, when I die, will, spouse, wife, will she want to leave everything to husband? And if he passes away, is everything divided evenly among all children? Or does his specifically say when he dies, goes to his children? So there's a lot of those conversations. There's inherited money that maybe wife has brought in, that she wants to keep it in the family. Well, all of those things don't happen until there's a trust in place. And so if there is situations, there are more complex situations where there's a blended family or you have a young child, make sure those are done legally and set, because the worst thing you want to do is leave your family having to make those decisions. Those decisions are not easy, and at the very, very least, have your will and your power of attorneys, financial, health, your health directive, make sure those are all in place. You don't know, that's not only to protect you, but to protect your children as well. So just, that's one of my kind of, please get that done and said. Anybody else have any questions?
I just have one question. Where do you stand on passive income, like income properties, rental properties, things that, in retirement are continuing to provide income?
Great question, and I think it's a great resource if you're properly diversified. So if you have everything else in place and you have some extra money, that's where your passive income, in your portfolio. If you have outside assets, that could just make that's where you want to make sure that everything complements one another. It's a strategy and it's to complement one another. But yes, it is. But a couple of things that you have to keep in mind, which I'm sure in your experience and expertise in real estate, is that when you do have passive income in retirement in rental properties, you want to make sure again that you're protected in several ways. If something happens to you, who's going to handle those retirement properties? I mean, those rental properties. What happens? At what point are they sold? If you end up in a nursing home, will they keep them? That goes again in a trust. Rental properties are not to be sold and are to be used solely for my care. Upon my death, they may be sold because you don't want them, if that's generating income and it's providing you a stream of income where it can provide the money to pay for your nursing home, you don't want them to get rid of that.
Right.
That can put you in a bind. You can very likely, and I've seen this happen.
Preemptive.
Yeah. Well, I'm worried because the road I'm going, I know I'm going to a nursing home.
The thing I'm getting from you, Eva, that's comforting is that it's a fairly legal advice to fit it all together in one big package. I think it's not as difficult as people.
It's not. It's a lot scarier not knowing where you're at.
Right.
It really, really is. And it should be a lot scarier knowing that this is a burden you're going to leave to your loved ones. So with that, I hope that, it encourages you or even, talking to maybe somebody that you know. Something I really urge is if you have older parents, have that conversation with them while they're still able to have that conversation. Get their wishes, their understanding. It is uncomfortable, but it's so much easier once it's said and done. You'll feel that weight off your shoulders. And you're doing it not because you're interested, money hungry or anything. It's because you love them and you care and you want their last wishes to be fulfilled. As simple as they may be, but they're their wishes and they shouldn't be your burden to come to. So have those conversations before they get a little bit older. Have that conversation. Do you have mom, dad? Do you have long-term care long-term care insurance? Take the time to have it reviewed so that you know what you have. Many people have policies. They've purchased it. It made sense at the time. They have it. They put it away. They forget they have it. They need it. They forgot they had it. Or they have it and they don't remember what it had. Many of them will put on riders to protect you and give you extra things. Well, you're paying extra money for it, but you didn't use it. So I really urge you to take a look at your, financial house, get it all cleaned up, get it organized, have somebody to interpret it for you, and be on your road to do that. Any other questions? No? Great. Well, with that, I just wanted to kind of give my disclosure here. All the information that we discussed today is kind of in general. It's not to anyone specific. So this is not presented as a individual recommendation. There is a risk for any type of investment. So please talk to your professional on any questions that you may have. In closing, if Debbie comes and joins me. Turn off your. I'm going to read this because then I'll get emotional.
Don't you dare make me cry.
Close your last one.
Thank you, Nadia.
Thank you. I just wanted to say that, we'll see.
Did I just press the button on the
Top
top?
button.
The blue button on the top.
I did.
There you go.
Hold it. There you
That
go.
works.
I was very humbled when I received the call to do this presentation today. I really was. As many of you know me well, I am very, very passionate about empowering women in finances. And when, I just, see, now you got me, stop doing that pout. So I was really, really humbled about it. And I'm not generally a nervous kind of person, but I know how important this is and how my concern is, or my worry was to make sure that I had brought enough information for you and the right information and delivered right so that you can make better decisions and so forth. But I just wanted to thank Debbie for this opportunity to come in front of you, and for you ladies coming out, taking some of the time out this morning to come and join us. And Debbie, really, 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 you have just done a phenomenal. This has been a vision of hers for a couple of years. I've had an opportunity to be with Debbie for a couple of years now, and I remember when she first started, and she's just, determined to get it done. And with Pam's help, they're definitely a duo. So I just wanted to thank you for this opportunity.
Well, I couldn't think of a better person to do this, because you can see that she has a passion for helping women. And the history for Eva is, like I explained at the very beginning, about helping women with her daughters. And now she's sharing all that with the young women of GPS that are coming to her, to come into her meetings. We're going to be talking to these young women about finances, preparing for their futures as young women going forth to be entrepreneurs or going to college or being doctors, lawyers, whatever they want to be. They'll have those skills, and because of Eva, they're going to get even more information. So I want to thank her very much for doing that for our young women and for you guys too.
Thank
So,
you.
thank you.